Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ron Filan. I'm a member of the Facilities Department at BAE Systems, Austin campus. I'm also the site lead for rainwater condensation harvesting, composting, along with my other facility-related duties. Presenting with me is my colleague, Amber Silkinson. Amber is the lead for the BAE Systems Sustainability Committee at the Austin site, and she's really an inspiration in this position. BAE Systems is a defense contractor, employs over 85,000 employees worldwide, and the Austin campus is located here in Austin on 140 acres. And I'd just like to express what an honor and privilege it is for you all sitting in and listening to our presentation today, and hopefully we all learn from each other. All right. We go next slide. Okay.
That's me, sorry. We can go to the next slide. So we're going to talk about some of the cool things that you guys can do with your green teams. We call it a sustainability team on our campus, but so this is a list of some of the things that we've done over the last few years, but really the key is going to be to have a variety of opportunities for people to work on or participate in. Some people really like to do outdoor activities, and some people like to plan and organize things. Some people are more interested in learning and observing. So all of those are great things. All of those contribute in different ways. We have partnered with the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center and Texan by Nature, and got together a group to make wildflower seed balls to use for seeding our property. So we have some wildflowers all over campus, which we love to see this time of year. It was so great. It was educational and fun, and it's really something that you can do at work, at school, with any kind of, youth groups or anything like that. So that's an easy thing to put together. For people that are more interested in the physical labor type of volunteer activities, we've done the Lake Travis cleanup. We've done work days on site where we clear out native or invasive species to allow for natives to grow. And then we use some of that mulch from the trees that we cleared out to create a hiking trail around campus and for our community garden beds. So for people who are more interested in indoor activities, we have Earth Day and Energy Day fairs that we do inside. We have rainwater classes that Ron leads. Of course, recently they have to be virtual, but sometimes they're in person. And then we have things like the Holiday String Light Recycling Project. We collect those for charity. And then we have our team sends out a quarterly newsletter to employees, and that helps kind of give out information and reminders about how to recycle and compost on campus, any events that are coming up, eco-friendly tips, campus initiatives, things like that. And it's a great way to bring visibility to what's happening around site and really get some communication with your employees. Having activities that employees can participate in helps to bring people together in a new way and connect people with shared interests. So it provides a way for people to feel included and proud of their contributions. And when you kind of like when you complete a home improvement project or a gardening project at home, and you pull up to your house and you have that sense of accomplishment. It's kind of like that, where people see things that they've helped with and they feel really proud of it. So we can go to the next slide.
Okay, so there was a lot of resistance in the beginning for us to take our campus and put native plants on. We've taken roughly 70% of our campus and turn it over to non-invasive Texas wildflowers and plants. BAE Systems is moving to another site, even though there was a lot of resistance from management and higher ups because they're used to nice manicured lawns. They've adopted this policy now, and they're really excited about our new campus and having wildflowers and different Texas native plants all on the campus. And you can see here on the right-hand side, the bluebonnets, there was a building that stood there that had to come down. that building came down, and that's what we did with that entire field there. And there's actually people who stop off of 183 and take pictures in that field. We can go next slide. So campus sustainability improvements. It's real important. Every one of the improvements we do on campus, we turn around and it's an educational tool to the employees. So for instance, we had a solar powered pond aerator for the pond. Our golf carts were solar charged. We had Energy Day. We had the giveaways for LED light bulbs. We've done LED light bulb replacement and enhanced recycling for production. Pretty much everything we find or we have on campus, we have found a way to recycle. So that's worked out really well. We can go next slide. I take care of the rainwater condensate harvesting. We have rainwater tanks for our educational gardens on campus, where we actually have little boxes set up and you can view blue bonnets, any kind of our wildflowers that we have. We also have an herb garden that the cafeteria can use. We partnered with the city of Austin for the reclaimed water for our cooling towers. That has given us the ability with collecting all the rainwater to save the city of Austin about 14 million gallons of water every year. As we removed invasive plants and trees, we replaced them with redbud trees that we actually got the little saplings and grew them from there. And then when they got big enough, we transplanted them again. And this is, Amber will talk about this more. This is our cafeteria sustainability. Amber got together with the cafeteria people and Zedexo, and we put recycle bins, compost containers, everything that comes from the cafeteria has been compostable, and we've added bins pretty much all over the place. You have anything else, Amber, on that?
That pretty well covers it. I think the main thing I wanted to point out was that it's important to have, like, we have those 3 bins together there. That way, you know, if there's only one bin, they're going to put it in just one bin. But if you have all 3 bins there and you have clear signage with them, that helps, you know, for everything to go in the right place. Most everything.
Next slide. I would say we have the composting area. So everything that we've collected for composting, we started out with a bin that was 8 foot by 10 foot. Last year, the year before, we expanded it to 10 by 50 foot. And right now it's pretty much full. We also incorporated our rainwater collection, added 2 tanks so we could water the compost because there was a building close by, and that helped a lot. Again, saving water, but it's also, again, an educational tool for your employees so that they can see these things in action and learn from them. They also can come down and see the stuff that they throw in there that's not recycled, doesn't compost. They can actually see it and see what will happen over a period of time if you don't recycle different items. Okay. So we've done the lunch and learn classes, and I've done the ones for rainwater collection. I'm a rainwater practitioner with ARSA, American Rainwater Catchment Association, and I really enjoy giving these classes. It gives everybody a chance to learn how they can start collecting their rainwater from their house, and even though they're only using a little bit at a time, how beneficial it is to their garden. Composting, we went over the advantage of composting, what you can compost and what's not, and carrying that over into your home. A lot of employees, after they've gotten through with this, have gone out and gotten a little bin for their home with and started having their own compost. Recycle and reuse. There's a lot of things now that can be recycled, that can be reused or repaired. Nowadays, all your washing machines, dryers, pretty much every piece of appliance you have in your house has a computer card in it. A lot of times they'll go bad. You just have to replace the computer card, not winding up throwing the entire washing machine or whatever appliance you have into a landfill where it's going to sit there pretty much forever. And all this ties into for employees for their community interaction. So when employees learn something at work on composting, on improvements for their home, how it helps their community. They go home and they'll spread that out to their neighbors, and every little bit helps. Next slide, please.
So these are the signs that we made to put at each of the bins, like I mentioned earlier. They're real detailed, maybe have a little too much detail on them, but we wanted to have a visual and a written explanation of what goes into each bin. And so what we've done also that's helped is we'll have, like, when we used to be able to have campus events and big luncheons and stuff, we would have somebody from our team a group of people from our team would hang out by the trash cans and kind of coach people on, okay, what's that? That's compost, that's trash, that's recycle, whatever, and help them like figure out what goes into each bin. And so that seemed to me a really helpful activity to do, to kind of really point those things out. That's all I have on that one. So how do you get started? So I think Francois mentioned that some people on here already have green teams and some don't. So some of this might not be relevant, but this is kind of what we've learned as we've developed our team. So a crucial key is to have management support. Leadership is, they approve the budgets, they need to support in that way, but they also are a good way to reinforce the importance and the benefits to everyone else on campus. So it's really good to have people in leadership who really support the team. For committee lead, it's good to have somebody who's not already in a leadership position, but is passionate about the environment. I personally am an administrative assistant. So this is just something that I really enjoy doing. The facilities maintenance group is really important. They're the muscle of the group. They're likely working on a lot of these things already. So, they're good to work with on that. Employee volunteers are the backbone. It's good to have a good mix of departments and backgrounds and interests. Everybody's going to have something different to bring to the table, and they'll have different perspectives and ideas to share. So with any team, it's important to put the focus on team. Everyone works together to succeed. So for meetings, we meet, it's good to have a regular meeting time. Obviously that can change, but we usually meet once a month, the second Monday of every month during lunch. We talk about plans, things that are coming up, events, ideas, action items, things like that. Occasionally you'll have guests attend to share ideas. Our cafeteria manager was a regular while we were working on those efforts. We've had EarthShare. Francois comes almost every month now, so we like having her there. And she gives us updates on other partner events that are coming up and different things that we can share with each other. So that's really great. It's good for lessons learned and sharing ideas. So try not to overwhelm yourself with too much at once. Start small, maybe pick one big project for the whole year or a theme for the year. One year we focused really mainly on recycling for the whole year, and then have some little things throughout the year. We like to do quarterly challenges that are just kind of fun activities for the employees to get involved with, and have sustainable, eco-friendly prizes for the winners. And so just some little things to help get people involved. You can coordinate lunch and learns, like Ron mentioned. He has done quite a few of those for us lately. They've been virtual, but they're more fun in person, I think. So education and outreach are also really big. If people understand why you're doing something, they're more likely to embrace it and get excited about it. It'll look different for each individual company and organization, but things like signage, newsletters, Earth Day events, presentations, all great ways to reach out to people. And just talking to people when you walk around and see them and they know you're into gardening and you start talking about gardening, well, then that gets them interested, and then maybe they're going to join in the next volunteer event for on-site, educational gardens. So volunteer opportunities are the fun part. People love to come together and see the difference that they're making, whether that's cleaning out the lake, cutting down trees, planting a garden, making seed balls. And you can tailor all of those to the interests of your individual groups. also. Next.
Okay, so for the benefits to the business and the community, cost savings, to tell you the truth, there's cost savings, but it's not gonna set your bottom line way off. But it's through sustainability, you can save some money. Nothing gets a business attention more than saving or decreasing their bottom line. Waste diversion, recycling and compost collection will divert waste from landfill. It also on our campus here has reduced the size of our landfill pickups for the dumpsters. It's increased our recycling by a great deal, but it's cut down the size of anything going to the landfill. Like I said, we recycle we recycle pretty much 70% of all our waste out of this site here now. Material reuse, we've talked a little bit about that. A lot of items being thrown away instead of being reused. Packing boxes, boxes waste from a process. You can review all these areas, look for opportunities, and reach out to suppliers for better ways to do something, or better packing material if need be. Something that can be recycled, shipped back and forth. Corporate responsibility, no business wants their process to affect the environment in a negative way. A sustainability committee gives a chance to review all their hazardous waste, all their processes, and find a way to reduce them. And the big one here, I think, is community involvement. Volunteer opportunities at business level can expand to employees' homes, their communities, different church groups, different social events. If they come knowing something they've learned at work as far as composting or rainwater or gardening, people love to share that information, and they do. Next slide. I have this one too. And like I said here, this support, a workplace is a community. Employees spend 40 hours a week at work. Most of us do. It's a home away from home. We establish relationships with others, develop long-lasting friendships, and achieve goals together. Sustainability learned at work carries over to the home and community. When they go home to their neighborhoods, they have children, schools involved with different activities. They're members of diverse clubs, and everything they've learned with sustainability at work carries over. And most people care about the environment, but a lot of times they're just overwhelmed. They just don't know what to do, and they don't know where to start. A sustainability committee will show them how to get started in that and show them options they may not have thought of previously. Every little bit makes a difference. People love to share what they learn. It's just something that most people just do, and I think it's an important thing. Next slide. And the environmental sustainability is the ability to meet the needs of this generation without compromising future generations. It's everyone's responsibilities at home. It's essential to involve as many people as possible and get them to realize every little bit helps. Sustainability provides opportunities to be more independent when it comes to food, water supply, and waste diversion, as we've learned from the pandemic. There's some slides down here. The one I'm going to point to is Francois attended a rainwater class, and that's her rainwater garden, and she did an excellent job with that. And you can see our dumpsters now, after a couple of days, they're just overflowing, and they have to come and pick it up, and it's all recyclable, can be reused. Next slide. And these are organizations we partner with. You can read them for yourself over the period of time. It's always important for a sustainability committee to get outside organizations with you and work with you and vendors. A lot of times it would be a vendor could come in and actually help you set up your sustainability committee, and it's a win for them and a win for you. Next slide. And these are a couple of new ones that we have here. The Plateau, actually Land and Wildlife Management will come out and they will do an assessment of your property, see if you can qualify for agricultural tax breaks. We've done Adopt a Highway, Austin Parks, and this Terra Recycle. Amber found them online. They actually can recycle cigarette butts, which is kind of, I've never heard of that before, but according to them, they can pretty much find a use or recycle for anything under the sun. And then the one underlying element in all of our action sustainability committee, every little bit helps. Save water 1 drop at a time and it turns to gallons. We recycle 1 item at a time and it turns into a dumpster. Compost 1 meal at a time, it will turn into a garden. Plant 1 tree at a time and you will have a forest. Every little bit helps. And I think that wraps it up. Amber, do you have anything else?
Nothing really specific. I'm curious to see what kind of questions people have and some ideas that we can share specific to starting green teams. So.
Okay.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Amber. And I think Mary Pretty is on as well. Mary, is there anything you wanted to add from City of Austin in terms of rebates available or programs encouraging some of these activities in the business community?
First, my personal and professional apology for being late. I live in the thriving metropolis of Dale, not the most efficient internet service. So again, my apologies. First, I want to commend Amber and Ron. Excellent job. All the points that you've hit upon are points that we're trying to get out in our workforce as well as to the community. I think that sometimes people hear words like sustainability and climate change and they just think, you know, it's too much for me to handle. But that one bite at a time, that one step at a time mentality is how we're going to get there. And building on Amber's point about, you know, folks tend to do things if they know why. And, you know, the city has set a really aggressive goal of being, you know, carbon neutral by 2050, you know, and we're actually a bit ahead of that goal. So we may be moving that milestone up, but, you know, we can't do this without the help of the community. And I think if people know what you know, what our goals are and what we're trying to achieve and why we're trying to achieve it, it will be more apt to get people to participate. And we have a community climate action plan that we update every 5 years, and just to know that we, you know, have the business community behind us is makes us feel a lot better. But regarding rebates, I'll be very honest, they tend to change, you know, almost daily. We've got rebates available through our water department for, you know, low flow shower heads and aerators to save water. These are things that they, you know, provide to the community and to businesses for free. We've got rebates through Austin Energy for solar panels that can be for the city level. There's also state rebates, and then also federal rebates for those programs. We're working with one of the local car dealerships to have rebates available for folks that are interested in perhaps switching to an electric vehicle. The city understands that, you know, we can't just turn everybody loose with an electric vehicle. So we're working to install over 330 charging stations by the end of the year, so that, you know, we'll have that infrastructure in place. But I'd be happy to provide my contact information. Francois certainly has it. And if anybody has any specific questions, then we can get that information. I can get those specific rebate answers to you.
Awesome, thank you, Mary. And yes, your information will be included at the end of the presentation. And y'all, we do plan to share this presentation later on, so you'll have our contact details there. Also, I just saw that Noelle from the City of Austin, from the Zero Waste Group, also piped up that she has some information on rebate. Maybe we can go through that later, but thank you, Noelle, for letting us know that you're a resource there too. I see that there are a couple of questions here, especially regarding recycling, which seems to be sort of the hot topic in terms of green team and sustainability work. I'm going to breeze through my section just real quick, and then we can go ahead and jump into some questions and some discussion. So let me get myself situated. All right. Okay. So thank you again for your insight, Ron and Amber, and thank you, Mary, for sharing some additional information Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Françoise Van Kuren. I am the Executive Director of EarthShare of Texas, and we're going to chat a little bit about partnering with nonprofits for engagement and visibility. There were some additional questions, kind of through the registration where folks were asking about marketing in particular, so happy to chat through some of that. But first, let me tell you a little bit about EarthShare of Texas. So we are a nonprofit cooperative or federation that fundraises on behalf of other environmental nonprofits. Many of our members rely on us for unrestricted funding, which is often hard to come by because most grants are typically program specific. So in terms of being able to support your employees in terms of learning and development, keeping the lights on, anything that normally cannot be packaged in a program, but makes an organization healthy and thriving, that is where our funding comes in to support those members. We have 38 local members, ranging in size from one staff member to dozens. Our members also, as you can see from the map displayed on the presentation, they span across the state, having different focus areas, whether that be water quality, coastal restoration, park management, renewable energy, it really goes on. And, just thinking about when we're talking about this mission in terms of fundraising, a lot of that is coming from a collective impact lens. Like, how can we also allow our members to be networking with each other, networking with other partners, and really growing their programs at a rate that help our state in terms of climate change and environmental issues. Next slide, please. Benefits of partnering with nonprofits. There are so many. Obviously, there are altruistic benefits to working with nonprofits. A lot of y'all might just, it feels good. You feel responsibility to the earth. Obviously, we're happy to take donations. If you're feeling generous, obviously that's part of it. But there are also clear benefits from a business perspective, which may be of interest to your leadership team. So employee engagement is likely the most popular reason. That's something that I think Ron and Amber spoke about in depth in terms of learning and development, how if you are providing those sort of opportunities to your employees, that is then having a spillover effect into their communities, with their neighbors, their family members, all of that. But employee engagement can come in the form of volunteering, it can come in workplace giving, learning and development. And this type of engagement from a business perspective also improves employee satisfaction, retention, and so on, because employees do like to work for companies that have community-based values. I actually know this firsthand. Previously I did work in the corporate sector. Y'all might have noticed that I said hello to my former colleague, Paul, where, my work was certainly very rewarding, but there was always this additional element where I wanted to be able to give back to my community. I am, from Texas. My company was not. I saw, volunteering and nonprofit engagement as a way to sort of bring our company's presence in the community, and also, basically have that as a way to have my values out there as well. So working on a volunteer and service committee that I could join, also in volunteering with their social impact team. These experiences as an employee actually led me to be an executive director of a nonprofit. So significant career benefits there too. In terms of community engagement, this is especially crucial if your community includes your customers. And folks certainly do appreciate businesses taking social impact stands. For all of you that are here in Texas, consider HEB in this example. Their customers love to sing their praises, especially after HEB jumps in to address a crisis, or gives a nice fat check, or shows a really awesome volunteer activity. Folks really love this company because they're Texas proud, and they show that as far as their social impact values as well. Visibility wise, this is basically seeing your social impact, volunteer, sustainability activities as marketing assets. If you're working with a nonprofit, consider getting your marketing and communications team involved. A press release or social media post about a volunteer event, partnership, or major donation should be publicized, and it will help your brand. So that's something to consider as well. Localization. EarthShare of Texas hears about this all the time. Company coming in, trying to increase their share of a Texas market, and using nonprofit partnership as a way, as part of their localization strategy. So as a signal to that community or that market that they're approaching, that they do support that community, and this can help get local support or attention for a product or a special initiative. And then capacity wise, y'all are limited to your sustainability team and company. Nonprofits are often doing the work that achieves your sustainability goals. So you can see this as an outsourcing opportunity too. And I'll give you an example. So I keep mentioning HEB. HEB is a partner of EarthShare of Texas. They work with a group of ours called the Galveston Bay Foundation. Genevieve, who piped up earlier, is a part of that group. And they're part of the oyster recycling program. So HEB donates funds, they bring together some volunteers, and then they'll go out into the bay and use recycled oyster shells to rebuild the oyster reef. This is important because it's, an important resource for Galveston Bay as far as their restoration project is concerned. It's also great for HEB from a visibility standpoint, but also from a capacity standpoint. Part of HEB's strategy in terms of their supply chain is how can we go to local sources, farmers, suppliers first, and by them restoring oyster reefs in Galveston Bay, that enables them to source from those oyster reefs in the future as well. So I think that's something that I think companies are starting to shift a little bit, where it's not just volunteer, but how can we actually incorporate our business model when we think about engaging nonprofits? Also, to make sure I got that right, Genevieve, you want to correct me if I misspoke on any of that. Also, don't want to misrepresent Galveston Bay Foundation.
Yeah, you did an amazing job, Francoise. The only correction I have is that the reef that we build is actually not harvestable in the future. There are, I think, some efforts. I think the Army Corps of Engineers has some projects, but for context, I mean, one oyster will filter up to 50 gallons of water every day on its own. So if you have a bunch of them, it's doing this immense, having this immense impact on water, the health and the water quality of the bay, which affects the fish, which affects the bird, which affects us. And so we build reef to restore what was lost from overharvesting, but also from hurricane and natural disasters. So like during Ike, certain parts of the bay lost up to 90% of their oyster reef. So,
Wow.
but you did great. Yeah, it's by far, I think, one of our most interesting, relatable programs. So super fun.
Yeah, it's a cool project. And thank you, Genevieve. I appreciate you hopping in. Awesome. So how can ESTX or EarthShare of Texas help you with this? The engagement piece. We are experienced as far as workplace giving, organization, fundraising, volunteering, all that fun stuff. We're also happy to put you in touch with any of our member groups if that's of interest. Other things we do in terms of engagement, green living challenges, learning and development webinars, and volunteer opportunities. Ideally, seeing we are a fundraising organization, it would be paired with some sort of fundraising activity. Visibility, we often employ our member base to promote cause marketing campaigns and public thank yous. So with our members, these 38 groups, we have a collective reach of nearly 1 million people. So when we're talking about visibility, whether that's cause marketing or if that's, again, public thank you or showing off a volunteer event, that is something that we have capacity for. And then, thinking about cause marketing in particular, basically, this is an arrangement where you can include a green value add for your customer. So Reliant is another partner of EarthShare of Texas, for example, and we have this product with them called EcoShare, where customers can add $3 or $5 to their bill. Part of that goes towards a carbon offset or carbon offset credits, and then $1 to $2 of that donation, depending on the size of the donation, is bookmarked for EarthShare of Texas members. $1 to $2 doesn't sound like much, but on average, this campaign actually makes about $350K on average in distributions to our members. So it is very significant and much appreciated. But maybe another way that you can, kind of show your green value add there. And then scale-wise, I want to go big on this thing, or EarthShare of Texas wants to go big on this thing. If you have multiple offices in Texas, we can coordinate a fundraiser, engagement events across your employee or customer base. And then also, while that sort of scale is feasible, I want to kind of underscore that while our mission is to fundraise, our vision is to build up local collective impact in Texas. So y'all should anticipate a bit more programming from us in the coming months regarding innovation circles, bringing together business and nonprofit collaboration. where we'd love to share some ideas, build some really interesting programs, and kind of to that effect, if you guys, we have our set suite as far as offerings and partnership, but if you have a creative idea, maybe as we were discussing the HEB example or the Reliant example, those came from a couple folks asking themselves, how can we make some impact, between the corporate and nonprofit space. So if you want to try to explore ideas, if you have an idea of your own you'd like to bring to us, we're open to that conversation as well. So that is enough on EarthShare of Texas. Thank you so much, you guys. Again, here on that thank you slide are our contacts if you want to take them down now, or again, we'll be distributing the presentation and probably early next week. But with that, let's go ahead and start with some questions. All right. Let's start with, so Catherine Brown asks, how do you get past the myth that recycled items really don't get recycled because there's no one or company to take and recycle the items? I think that comes up with plastics in particular. I don't know, BA team, you've been really focused on recycling. Has this concern or pushback ever come up for you guys when you think about your recycling program?
Ron, you're on mute. I see your lips moving.
He's like, you take it, Amber.
So we just send ours, they come pick up all the recycle. We have single stream recycling. So they come, it's supposed to be sorted out. The plastic is supposed to go where it's supposed to, any cardboard that's in there, any of that other stuff, all electronic waste and everything is shipped to a different recycling company just because we're a defense contractor and all has to be done. But I'm not aware of any other problems as far as, well, my belief is that once it leaves here it's recycled for plastic, that it gets recycled for where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, we've had a few people make that kind of comment, but like Ron said, we just kind of reassure in what he just said. We just explained to them, recycling gets picked up, it goes to the recycling facility, and it's being recycled. I know that there is concern with plastic, or has been. I actually don't know what the latest is on that, but we just reassure them, just recycle it, put it in the bin, and it'll go to the recycler.
This is Genevieve. I have a follow-up question / comment to that. So I know like our executive director, like we recycle in our office and try to encourage it, and have recently switched to doing this at our events where we stop providing, plastic water bottles to volunteers and told everyone like, hey, bring your own water bottle, we'll have water for you. But I know our ED one day was like, do we actually know if what we're recycling is being recycled? And I think both of you just sort of answer that question as like, no, we don't actually know. Yeah. And so I'm wondering if you have thoughts on, obviously the real big picture solution is reduction of just waste production overall. And I know you touched on some of those initiatives, but if you could elaborate a little bit on maybe your thoughts on implementing waste reduction strategies in tandem or even above recycling, specifically because of this issue of nobody actually knows, besides the recycling people, like how much of your recycling is actually like becoming additional product.
Yeah, that's a good point. We do, in like our newsletters that we send out and our events that we have had in the past, we do try to educate people on ways to reduce their consumption to begin with. So that does reduce the need for recycling. You can only do so much, but yeah, that's kind of, there's different ways. We've made flyers, posters, and mostly on the newsletter, we kind of share tips and resources. And then those quarterly challenges that we've done, there was one that it was an eco bingo challenge, and one of the bingo squares was to keep what do you call it? Dumpster diary. They call it a dumpster diary. And so you just write down everything that you're putting in the trash or in the recycle bin. And then at the end of the week or month or however long the time period is, right? That you kind of assess that and decide. And to me, even someone who's like, so like, I think I'm really good at recycling and composting and trash and all that good stuff. I still like look at my list and I have it posted on my wall still, and I'll be like, okay, what can we do? How can we like change this product so we don't even create, like I've switched to, shampoo bars instead of bottles of shampoo. Like it makes you think about different things that you can do to just not even have that waste stream in the first place. So that's a good one. I think of some other ideas that we've done. Can you think of anything specific, Ron?
Yeah, so the one thing that we do have is our water fountains have they're water fountains, but they also have a bottle dispenser on there, so we can refill all your water bottles or your whatever you bring. Another thing that was brought up was about our giveaways. A lot of times BAE Systems will give away plastic cups or different items, and kind of to do away with that because it's just going to wind up being dumped somewhere or just sits on a shelf for a while and doesn't get used and winds up in the dumpsters. But the water dispensers actually work really well. We change the filters out every 6 months, I believe it is, whenever the PM comes up for it. And if they're not working, everybody's asking why not. So that's a good thing.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all. And I feel like part of it too is even just the sorting process. Like plastics might be tricky, but aluminum cans and cardboard, that's, we can feel a little more rest assured there. Also, y'all being able to separate food waste and turning that into compost, so I think almost the sorting process even still helps reduce in that case, even when plastic might be a little problematic. Okay, another question. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
But just real quick. And this is why we have these discussions. If the plastic that we're sending out to be recycled is not being recycled, obviously we can't do anything about it, but there should be somebody out there that can make sure that's being done or addressed in the right way. And it's just a suggestion. That's kind of why we have these focus groups and talk about different things, that somebody might be there that will know somebody in a recycling plant somewhere and find out what's going on. And if there's a problem, make sure a correction is done.
Mm-hmm. Great point, thank you. And I think Noel in the chat box also gave some additional information on how the city of Austin looks at their recycling as well. So that's certainly helpful information. Thank you, Noel. Okay, I have another question from Kristen. Of all the activities you are doing, which ones do you think have had the most impact or get the most engagement?
Yes. So
right now we're doing a gardening challenge.
a garden challenge. Yeah.
Sorry, why is that? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's going really well. Am I speaking over someone? I'm sorry.
It was just, I think Kristen was, I think, elaborating on her question.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just asking, like, if you do lunch and learns, you do challenges, possibly a newsletter or events, that sort of thing. Are there ones that you typically see more people kind of engaged with that you feel like is more impactful? If you're just starting out doing some of these types of events, what are some of the ones that you tend to see like more engagement from your employees or?
Right. So, and I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I think a big part of it, since everyone has different employee base, everybody has different people with different interests. A thing that's really helpful is if you kind of poll your group and just maybe send out, we did this years ago, maybe at one of our little energy day fairs or something, but kind of put a little survey on the table or send out an email to employees or whatever, but kind of poll the group and just see what are people interested in. We had a lot of people that were interested in the monarch butterfly recovery, so we put a lot of focus on that the first year. We had a lot of people interested in gardening, so we've done some gardening efforts. So just things that you can come up with all these really great ideas as a team, but if it's not what people like, they're not going to participate. So the biggest thing is first figuring out what is interesting to people and maybe what people are already doing outside of work, and then build on that. But we've had a lot of success with hands-on things like, removing the invasive trees on campus. People, the Lake Travis cleanup, we got a good turnout on that. things people can really do, right? They like to see their impact right then. And then the challenges are always fun. So we usually get a pretty good turnout on that. The gardening challenge right now has been our biggest one. And that one has been, we're only in the second week, but we've made little like gardening starter kits for everyone. And we have like 57 people signed up, which is our biggest turnout on any event yet. I'm so excited. But so everybody just basically, we're giving them resources and tips, and everyone's sharing information on their gardening experiences. And then every week they submit pictures of their progress, whether it's good or bad, but just submit pictures. And then those pictures are kind of their entry into the prize drawing for the end. So we'll have a couple of big prizes at the end. So, you know, just coming up with some fun things that people can get excited about and encourage them to participate in them. But starting with what they're already interested in is really helpful.
Cool, great, thanks for the question, Kristen. Thanks for the response, Amber. From Silvana, regarding the recycling of plastics. Oh, I see, this is more of a comment. Check out the Association of Plastic Recyclers, good source for policies and opportunities for reusing plastic. Thanks for the resource, Silvana. Another one is the State of Texas Alliance for Recycling. Another EarthShare of Texas member, forgive me for pushing them like that. But another group that you can check out in terms of getting more information on recycling and that sort of impact. Okay, we have about 6 more minutes. If there are no other questions in the chat, I do have some that folks submitted in advance. And this kind of touches on what y'all were talking about with buy-in from leadership, how they were initially a little resistant to some of your projects and ideas. So the question is, what about getting management to make the green team a priority and then getting coworkers to participate in recycling volunteer activities? So maybe let's focus on the prioritizing and management. What did y'all say to your leadership team to convince them to invest into some of these initiatives or just allow you to do them? And was it an initial conversation, or is it just a continuing conversation where you're continuing to influence and get them to work with y'all? Curious how you guys got over that hurdle with your leadership team.
You're on mute.
BAE Systems has a sustainability committee at all their sites. The Austin site, however, is pretty much the lead for all of them. As I could say, we've probably done more projects here, and it's just a matter of everybody getting involved with it. If we present an idea, we go ahead and do it, and usually by then, once it's started, it's taken a life on its own, and it's worked out just fine. We really haven't had too many problems with them not being on board with it. As far as management goes, like I said before, no business wants to look bad, hurt the environment. Also nowadays, stockholders want to know what you are doing for the environment, what your environmental policies are. If I would go to another company for a job interview, I would expect them to ask me in facilities, what have you done as far as your sustainability efforts? And it's just usually a win-win that have management will get on board with it. I don't know how much financially sometimes they will support, but we seem to find a way to make everything happen that we need to make happen, whether they support us financially through it or not.
Yeah, and that's a good point too about like the budget topic. Like we hardly spend any money on this team. Like most of the things that we do are just very, I don't know, hands-on and like low budget. And like of all the different groups and committees on campus, I think ours has the smallest budget, but we do a lot of fun stuff and, you know, we're having fun. So I know when this team first joined, it was actually our facilities leadership who approached me about starting and leading the team. So that helps to have already had that support to begin with. So we haven't had a big struggle on that. I know years and years ago, probably, I won't date myself here, but like 20 years ago, 18 years ago, something like that, we didn't have a recycling program at all on campus. And so we just kind of, a handful of us employees just came together and started collecting the cans and drove them down the street to the recycling facility, and then, you know, I guess you still can, but we would cash them in back then. And so the few dollars that we got, we would donate to our local, I think we had Adopt a School program that we would donate to at that time. So, you know, and then once management sees like, oh, this is something employees are really interested in and we're doing something really good with it, you know, they kind of start getting on board. We had a different leadership team, obviously, way back then, but yeah. So I don't know, I think obviously money talks. So if you can show them how they can save money if they support different sustainability activities, you know, the different rebates that the city might offer or things like that, that could be a good way to get their buy-in, support there.
Awesome. Thank you, Amber. So we are about 1 minute to 1, and I certainly want to respect everyone's time. Perhaps some of y'all still need to eat lunch. I know I do. So just closing this out, Lacey, would you actually mind pulling up the thank you slide again, if that's possible? Or maybe not. Well, as she's pulling that up.
Close.
That's okay.
Though.
Well, actually, that's okay. We'll distribute it later. But just so you guys have our contact details, like I said, this was done with, you know, Austin Green business leaders, so the city of Austin, BAE, of course, and myself. Sorry, excuse me, Lacey. Do you mind muting yourself real quick?
Oh yes, sorry.
It's okay.
I'm having a major malfunction on my computer. I'm not sure what's going on. Okay,
Oh,
there we go.
Okay, thank you. Yes, the technology of Zoom. Main point, if you want to reach out, please do. If you have other questions, please reach out. If you want to have an exploratory conversation, please do that as well. You know, we want to be, again, our mission is to be spreading the goodness of sustainability and good earth stewardship throughout the state of Texas. So please do reach out. We'll be sending around the presentation and the recording as well. Feel free to share this information. And then also I'll probably be sending around a survey after all. Would love to know a little bit more about how we did on this conversation, if it was helpful, where we might improve. And then also, as I was saying earlier, I would love to do more of these in terms of bringing together nonprofits and business leaders who are focused on sustainability and really getting some ideas out there on how we can, you know, bring, you know, more green and sustainability initiatives to the state of Texas. So be on the lookout for that. And otherwise, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much to Amber and Ron. Thank you, Mary. Thank you all for attending. Thank you, Lacey, for being our tech guru for today. And I hope you guys have a lovely rest of the day. So thanks.